I look at the ceiling fan a lot. I know every speck of dust on it, every scratch on the blades. I'm 67 years old, and I spend 23 hours a day in this bed. I didn't get in a car wreck. I didn't fall down a flight of stairs. I didn't have a stroke. I am stuck in this bed for the rest of my life because a doctor looked at me, saw an older black woman complaining about back pain, and decided I was lying. That's the reality. I'm crippled because of the kind of racism that doesn't wear a hood. It wears a white coat and carries a clipboard. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I had just finished making some calls for my church group. Around noon, this pain hit my lower back. It wasn't regular old age pain. I've had bad joints. I know what getting old feels like. This wasn't that. This felt like somebody jammed a hot screwdriver into the base of my spine. It shot all the way down my right leg. I couldn't stand up. My legs just gave out from under me, and I dropped right there on the kitchen floor. I called my daughter Lisa. She left work and came straight over. She had to practically carry me to her car. Every step, every movement was just blinding. I was crying. I don't cry easily. I raised 3 kids by myself. I've worked on my feet my whole life. I've been through it. But I was crying in the passenger seat of her Honda. We got to the emergency room at the county hospital. Lisa got a wheelchair, helped me into it, and rolled me up to the triage desk. The nurse behind the glass didn't even look up at first. She was typing on her computer. Finally, she slid the glass open. She looked at me. Then she looked at Lisa. Lisa said her mother was in severe pain, couldn't walk, and needed a doctor. The nurse asked for my ID and insurance. No rush, no urgency. She asked me to rate my pain on a scale of 1 to 10. I told her it was a 10. I told her my leg felt dead. The nurse gave me this look. If you are a black person in America, you know the look. It's the look that says, "Here comes another one." It's the look that says, they think you're just trying to get some pills. She didn't write down a 10. I saw her hit a few keys, and she told us to go sit in the waiting room. We sat there, and we sat there. The waiting room was full, but it wasn't overflowing. I watched people come in after me, people with twisted ankles, people with bad coughs, white people mostly. I watched them get called back. 1 hour went by. 2 hours. The pain was getting worse. The numbness in my leg was spreading to my other leg. I shifted in the wheelchair, trying to find a position that didn't hurt, but there wasn't one. I was sweating through my shirt. Lisa went up to the desk again. She kept her voice low and polite. We know the rules. You can't get loud. You can't show anger. If a white woman gets loud at the hospital desk, she's a concerned mother or a patient in distress. If a black woman gets loud, she's a threat. Security gets called. They throw you out. You have to swallow your pain and ask nicely. So Lisa put on her best professional voice. She explained that my legs were going numb. The nurse told her to sit down and wait our turn. 4 hours. 4 hours in that hard plastic wheelchair. I was starting to feel a strange pressure in my lower stomach. I didn't want to say it out loud, but I couldn't feel my bladder anymore. I was terrified I was going to wet myself right there in the waiting room. I told Lisa. She looked scared. She knew that meant something was really wrong. She went to the desk a 3rd time. She said, "My mother is losing feeling in her lower body. This is a medical emergency." The triage nurse rolled her eyes and said, "Ma'am, raising your voice won't make the doctor's work any faster. We have real emergencies back there." Real emergencies. That's what she said. Finally, after 5.5 hours, they called my name. They wheeled me into a little curtained-off room in the back. A nurse came in, took my vitals, and left. Another 45 minutes went by. Then the doctor walked in. Young guy, maybe 35. He looked tired and annoyed. He didn't introduce himself. He just looked at the chart. "Lower back pain," he said. He didn't ask it like a question. I told him yes, but it wasn't just pain. I told him my legs were going numb. I told him about the bathroom issue. I told him I couldn't stand up. He didn't touch me. He didn't ask me to stand. He didn't do any tests on my reflexes. He just stood there, holding the tablet. "You're carrying some extra weight," he said. "That puts a lot of strain on the lumbar spine. It's probably a flare-up of sciatica. Take some ibuprofen, alternate ice and heat, and follow up with your primary care doctor." I looked at him. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Doctor, I can't feel my legs. I can't walk." He sighed. A real heavy, annoyed sigh. He looked at me like I was a child throwing a tantrum over a toy. "We don't give out narcotics for back pain here," he said. There it was. He said the quiet part out loud. He thought I was a drug seeker. He looked at an older black woman in sweatpants because I was in too much pain to dress nice before we left the house. And he made up his mind before he even opened the curtain. Lisa tried to intervene. She said, "We don't want pain pills. We want an MRI. We want to know why she can't walk." The doctor shook his head. An MRI isn't indicated for basic sciatica. The emergency room is for life-threatening conditions. I'm discharging you. He walked out. He spent exactly 3 minutes in the room with me. 3 minutes to ruin the rest of my life. The discharge nurse came in with the paperwork. We were forced to leave. Lisa had to get a male nurse to help lift me from the hospital bed back into the wheelchair, and then from the wheelchair into her car. I cried the whole ride home, not just from the pain, but from the humiliation, the absolute lack of humanity. They looked right through me. Lisa got me into my bed at home. She stayed with me. The next 2 days were a nightmare. The pain didn't stop, but the numbness got worse. It spread up my thighs. And the worst part, what I was afraid of in the waiting room happened. I lost control of my bowels. I was lying in my own bed, a grown woman, a proud woman, and I couldn't control my own body. Lisa was frantic. She cleaned me up, crying while she did it. I told her to call an ambulance. I told her I didn't care if they thought I was crazy. I was dying. Something inside me was dying. The ambulance came. 2 white EMTs. They walked into my bedroom, looked at me, looked around the room. One of the first things the guy asked Lisa was, "Did she take anything? Any recreational drugs?" Lisa lost it. She yelled at them. She told them her mother was a retired postal worker and a church deacon who couldn't walk, and to just get me to the hospital. They got me on the stretcher. It was rough. They weren't gentle. They drove me back to the exact same hospital. This time, I couldn't even sit in a wheelchair. I was on the gurney. Lisa bypassed the triage nurse and grabbed the first doctor she saw in the hallway. She told him I had lost bladder and bowel control and had no feeling from the waist down. That doctor stopped. His face changed. He didn't look annoyed. He looked alarmed. Within 10 minutes, I was in an MRI machine. The waiting was over. The drug seeker accusations were over, because now the machine was going to show them what they refused to hear from my own mouth. When they pulled me out of the machine, things moved fast. The same doctor who ordered the MRI came over to my bed. He looked pale. He told us I had something called cauda equina syndrome. A massive herniated disc had ruptured and crushed the bundle of nerves at the base of my spinal cord. He said it was a severe surgical emergency. If the pressure isn't relieved within 24 to 48 hours, the nerve damage is permanent. I looked at him. Lisa looked at him. "We were here 2 days ago," Lisa said. Her voice was shaking. "We told the doctor she was going numb. He sent us home with ibuprofen and called her a drug seeker." The doctor didn't say anything. He just looked at the floor. He knew. He knew his colleague had messed up, but doctors protect doctors. He just said they needed to get me to the operating room immediately. They did the surgery. They cut my back open, removed the broken disc pieces, and tried to free up the nerves. When I woke up in recovery, the surgeon came in. He explained the procedure went well, but there was a but. Because the nerves had been compressed for over 48 hours, they were dead. They had been choked of blood and oxygen for too long. He told me the numbness was permanent. The loss of bowel and bladder control was permanent. I would never walk independently again. If they had done the MRI on Tuesday, when I first came in, I would be walking right now. If that first doctor had looked at me as a human being instead of a stereotype, he would have caught it. If he had just listened to me. But I was a black woman in pain, and in this country, that means you're exaggerating. It means you're lying. It means you're just looking for a fix. They did an internal review at the hospital. You know what came of it? Nothing. They sent me a letter saying the initial diagnosis was reasonable based on presentation. Reasonable. They covered their tracks. Lisa wanted to sue. We talked to lawyers. But medical malpractice is a wall of money and red tape. We hit dead ends everywhere. So now here I am, 67 years old. I have home health aides come in twice a day to change my catheters and clean me. I have to be turned so I don't get bed sores. I watch the sun come up through that window, and I watch it go down. I worked hard my whole life. I paid my taxes. I took care of my kids. I was looking forward to my retirement. I wanted to garden. I wanted to walk my grandchildren to the park. All of that was stolen from me. stolen by a system that doesn't think my pain is real. We talk a lot about police brutality. We talk about the justice system. But nobody talks enough about what happens to us in those sterile white rooms. They kill us in the hospitals too. They kill us with neglect. They kill us with their assumptions. They leave us to rot because they can't be bothered to do their damn jobs when the patient has my skin color. I'm leaving my story here on this channel because I know I'm not the only one. I know there are thousands of us out there who were sent home, who were ignored, who were told it was all in our heads until it was too late. If you felt this, if you've been through this in a hospital or clinic, drop a comment below. I have plenty of time these days, and I'll be reading them all. And please subscribe to the channel, because there are a lot more of us with stories that need to be heard. Don't let them keep silencing us. God bless everyone. Goodbye.